Hey everyone, Eugene from Eugene Reviews. Just wanted to give a little bit of a run through of everything that's going to be going on for the next few videos or so for Eugene Reviews. So if you haven't seen by now, I already put out a 5 things to know before you go and watch the Suicide Squad video. Basically, I give an overview of 5 things to know just before you go out, either in theaters or watch on HBO Max for the new Suicide Squad film, which is why you see me doing this today. And finally, I think the next video I'm going to be doing is another version of my Q&As. If you haven't seen my Q&A video previously, I'll put it on the description below. I believe I had a good turnout last time, so I want to try it out again. So be on the lookout for info regarding that sometime in the foreseeable future. So once again, look out for the video 5 things you need to know before watching the Suicide Squad, which should be up right now. And second, a Q&A video, the second Q&A video that I'm going to be releasing sometime soon. So be on the lookout for that. All right, those are my little updates. Enjoy the rest of the video. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It's Eugene. Welcome back to another episode of Eugene Reviews. Right now, I'm actually re-recording this video because I had recorded everything on Monday, saved everything, put it on my hard drive, and then to come Tuesday evening to find out that it's been deleted. I don't know why, and I'm not willing to put in the money for the freaking recovery system that's needed again for this. So yeah, screw that part to the hard drive gods, screw that, and I'm gonna try to do this as best and as quickly as possible because God knows I don't want to do it a third time. But with the little dramedy that I had to endure this evening, I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with this video because this is another video journal of a DCEU property known as Suicide Squad. Now that's not to be confused for the upcoming film The Suicide Squad, which should be dropping today, August 6, 2021 in theaters and on HBO Max. This is Suicide Squad, directed by David Ayer back in 2016. And I'm not gonna lie, with the promotion and everything that went on with the marketing and the star power in itself, I was really looking forward to seeing this film. Even in 2016 when you had films like, you know, Rogue One and Captain America Civil War, Batman v Superman, I was really excited for Suicide Squad. I did watch it twice. I think I watched it opening night with a group of friends, and then I watched it again by myself in IMAX. That's kind of the thing I do. But yeah, before I get to my whole review on it, let's go ahead and take a look at the development and the overall building blocks for Suicide Squad. So once again, this film was directed by David Ayer. Ayer had been recently notable for a director for films such as End of Watch with Jake Gyllenhaal, Sabotage with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Fury with Brad Pitt. And then after Suicide Squad, he would actually do a film for Netflix known as Bright with Will Smith. So Ayer's name is out there, and I'm not gonna lie, I was intrigued to know that the director of Fury had been a part of this project. So I also found out that David Ayer was given 6 weeks to pen the script for this. Now 6 weeks may seem like a lot of time, but I mean for stories, for factors of characterizations and character arcs and rising action, falling action, conclusions, all that stuff, 6 weeks I feel like is a little bit of a short stretch. But they were able to pen the script as it was due for an August release in 2016. Now, DC was starting their own little extended universe to kind of counteract with Marvel's success with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they called it the DC Extended Universe, with its starting block with Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. However, the 2 films, being as dull and somber as they weren't really kind of good starting points. So it was really on Suicide Squad to kind of bring them back from the ashes, so to say. And not gonna lie, with Ayer and with the stars that they announced, it was looking like it was gaining some traction towards that point. Let's look at the cast members that they did actually get on this film. You got Will Smith playing Deadshot. You've got Viola Davis playing Amanda Waller. You've got Margot Robbie playing Harley Quinn, Jai Courtney playing Captain Boomerang, Joel Kinnaman playing Rick Flag, Jay Hernandez playing Diablo, Karen Fukuhara playing Katana, playing the big baddie herself, Enchantress, was Cara Delevingne, and for a brief moment, we had recently Academy Award-winning actor Jared Leto playing the Joker. So a star-studded cast, and hard to believe too, the other stars that they considered for these roles. At one point, they considered Oprah Winfrey for being Amanda Waller. Can you imagine that? Oprah Winfrey in a DCEU film? At one point, Tom Hardy was considered for Captain Boomerang, but essentially it went to Jai Courtney due to Tom Hardy's scheduling conflicts. And probably the more surprising one, they considered Ryan Gosling to be the Joker. Now, Ryan Gosling is a phenomenal actor, but that even is something I was really curious to see how that would turn out. But they ended up getting Jared Leto, which I was happy for initially because he just came fresh off of the Academy Award win with Dallas Buyers Club. Now, we got the stars, the marketing, DC, stamped everywhere. You think it was a walk in the park, but really the turmoil came in the post-production. There were reports of scenes being cut or omitted from the final cut on behalf of Warner Brothers, scenes including flashbacks, as well as significant scenes including the Joker, which can kind of explain why we didn't see a lot of him in the film. And then ultimately too, the final cut privileges being taken away by the director. Now, if you're the director, you should have the final say-so on the cut, or at least have control over it. Warner Brothers ultimately took control of it, and David Ayer's final cut never made it to the cutting room floor. So, to recap all of the production notes, Ayer given 6 weeks to write the script, a star-studded cast with an even bigger star cast that they intended for, turmoil amongst the production in regards to post-production, like cutting different footages from different scenes and different characters, as well as David Ayer no longer having the final say-so for the final cut, as it was taken away from him by Warner Brothers. All right, so a lot to kind of consider and digest when it comes to the overall production. Now let's see the whole execution for Suicide Squad. All right, so let me just go right off the bat and say these. I dug the character performances from a bunch of actors in this film. Will Smith did a phenomenal job. Amanda Waller, Viola Davis did a phenomenal job. Hell, I even think Jai Courtney did a good job. And he's been having a bad rep before then with A Good Day to Die Hard and Terminator Genesis. I was surprised to see this version of Jai Courtney, and I think he was really effective in this film. But I think the one that takes the cake and overall was the show stealer was indeed Margot Robbie playing Harley Quinn. It felt like this was her film, and ultimately it was. This was the first time seeing this incarnation of Harley Quinn in film, and to see Margot Robbie kind of take a hold of this really kind of reflects to, you know, Tony Stark played by Robert Downey Jr., you know, Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds even playing Deadpool. It's kind of one of those situations where this is the role that Margot Robbie was born to play. And played it, she did very, very well. I also will say that the film is pretty humorous. I think that with the two films that we had before, you know, in the DCEU, Batman v Superman and Man of Steel, with the somber kind of tones and undertones, it was nice for a change to get a little bit of lightheartedness. While it's still essentially still dark, it was nice to see kind of an upbeat feel to it, you know, kind of like a kind of like a Land of Misfit Toys kind of feel to it, but ultimately a little bit of a lightheartedness and humorous tone to it. I dug that. It was very vibrant, very flamboyant, and I can understand and appreciate that. In regards to the performance by Jared Leto as the Joker, it's really hard to come up with a justifiable critique when he wasn't even showcased that much to begin with. As you found out earlier, I said, you know, a significant amount of footage was cut by Warner Brothers that included scenes with the Joker. So once again, I don't know if you can justifiably rate his performance. I don't know, that's just me. But with the performance that we did get, yeah, it's a bit quirky. I will say it wasn't my cup of tea, but I do appreciate the kind of original taste and original kind of take that Leto put on this. Because if you really look back at other performances, like Jack Nicholson's Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, hell, even Mark Hamill's voiceover of the Joker, there's a sense of originality put towards that version, like a sense of their own take put towards those versions. Jared Leto is no different. He put his own little twist to it, and I can appreciate that. While it didn't work for me, once again, I understand and appreciate it. This movie had a bumping soundtrack. I mean, you had Bohemian Rhapsody, hell, you even had Black Skinhead by Kanye West in the film. I mean, just the variety that they had was so silly yet so effective. And, you know, even the original songs with 21 Pilots, Heathens, the original song Sucker for Pain with Imagine Dragons, Wiz Khalifa and others, even Gangsta by Kalani. Like, I dug this soundtrack. And I think of all the DCEU films to date, this was a nice, vibrant, you know, variety of sounds and mixtures to it. So with that, I mean, it adds its own flavor to it, and I think that's what kind of propels Suicide Squad more so than originally intended for. Yes, it has a cliche villain. Enchantress is just another one of those villains that takes over a human body, unleashes a ray of light where, you know, she makes humans her own little subjugated goons, and ultimately it's just another one of those cliche villains. And not taking anything away from Cara Delevingne, she's great, but I just think that this character was poorly written. And I just want to say overall, this film, entertaining. I for one, you know, I probably am in the minority, but I found this to be entertaining. I was thoroughly entertained watching this film in theaters both times. Many will say I'm crazy, but I mean, that's just me. If you didn't enjoy it, that's great, you know, and it's great to have those different takes to it. But I'm in the minority, I think, in the general public, that I actually found this entertaining. So once again, good characters, great performances. Margot Robbie steals the show in this film. It was humorous. It was nice to get a little bit of an upbeat, kind of lighthearted, vibrant type of feel in comparison to the other two somber performances of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Great soundtrack. I will give it that. Great plus for that. Cliche villain, and overall, I was entertained by it. What can I say? Let's see if the general public and the critics found it to be the same way that I did when we look at the overall response for Suicide Squad. Critically and audience-wise, the film was panned, let's be honest. On Rotten Tomatoes, I believe it sits at like a 29%. So yeah, it's pretty low. Generally, audiences were not favorable towards this film. While the critic and audience response was something, it's also pretty interesting to see the box office response to this, as Suicide Squad raked in over $740 million worldwide. Now, for a film to be, you know, kind of panned down by critics, it sure did make a lot of money. Also, even more interesting to note, Suicide Squad was nominated and won an Academy Award for Best Makeup and Hairstyle at the Academy Awards that year. So now I joke around with people, especially that don't like Suicide Squad. I tell them, don't say I hate Suicide Squad, say I hate Academy Award winner Suicide Squad. You know, gotta adjust that. Ultimately, a sequel was announced, but there was a lot of rewrites. People had scheduling conflicts. Ayer wasn't able to return for it, and ultimately it was shelved until recently, when I just said the Suicide Squad, which is coming out today, August 6th, was taken over by James Gunn. Now, it's not being acted as a sequel, it's a standalone film, because obviously with the overall critic and fan response for this film, I don't think that they wanted to continue with that story. But there are elements still in the Suicide Squad that were from this, which kind of are the characters. I mean, Margot Robbie's still there, Joel Kinnaman's still there, Jai Courtney's still there, Viola Davis is still there. So they're still playing their characters. It just happens to be a new standalone film that doesn't agitate the stories and events from this Suicide Squad. And with the whole release, the Zack Snyder cut kind of taking full force, people decided to kind of say release the Ayer cut, because the news did break out about the whole taking advantage of Ayer's cut and omitting footage and all the whole ordeals when it came to the post-production. So when Zack Snyder's Justice League made rounds on HBO Max and became a success more than the original version, people were floundering and people were bombarding Twitter and social media to say release the Ayer cut, hoping that they would get the same results. So far, no traction yet. To be honest, if they do make it, that's great. If not, that's okay too. It is interesting to note that, you know, people on social media are still pushing for an Ayer cut to be released either in theaters or on HBO Max. All right, so critically and from a fan perspective, just trashed. 26% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, it was just trashed. But positive response in the box office, $740 million worldwide. an Academy Award nomination and win that year for Best Makeup and Hairstyle. The sequel being announced, but ultimately it became the standalone film that is now released, known as The Suicide Squad. And the audience is clamoring for the Ayer cut after Zack Snyder's Justice League did success with HBO Max. All right, so we've gone through the development, we've gone through the execution, we've gone through the response. Now let's go ahead and hit my verdict for Suicide Squad. All right, yeah, I gotta say it, Suicide Squad was entertaining. I was thoroughly entertained. I found Margot Robbie's performance to be great. Will Smith was great. Viola Davis was great. It's hard for me to really interpret Jared Leto's overall performance as Joker when really it was kind of incomplete, but it was a bit quirky, yet I understand Leto's take on it. Yes, there are stuff wrong with it, loopholes in the stories, just inconsistent editing. I think the editing was just terrible. Even I could do a better job than that. But I think overall, to see the camaraderie and the characters actually kind of take full force on this, I was thoroughly entertained from start to finish from this film. I thought the marketing and the overall advertising of this film really did do well, and I feel bad for them, because for them to kind of really push Suicide Squad the way that they did and in the style that they did, they should be rewarded for that. But with the film kind of faltering, it really kind of feels like it was done for nothing. But for me, once again, entertaining all throughout. I think that the soundtrack was great. I think that the character performances and the camaraderie were great, and I think it was nice to have a little bit of an upbeat type of feel with the DCEU, being that this is only the third film in, but you know, the other two films were really kind of, you know, low, somber, and kind of saddening and dark. It was nice to have this kind of feel to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Suicide Squad, a 7.25 out of 10. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you gave such a big review for Suicide Squad. You're a Suicide Squad mark. You're a DC mark. Oh, you don't know good movies. Who knows good movies? What are good movies? Movies are subjective. Everyone has an opinion. I like Suicide Squad, and I'm pretty sure you may not like, you must hate Suicide Squad. And that's what's great about film. It's subjective. We all have different opinions on it, and we can all have a different perspective on it. Mine just happens to be, I find it entertaining. Anyways, that concludes my review for Suicide Squad. I hope that you found this entertaining, at least more than the film itself. What did you guys think of the film? Jump down to the comments section below. Let me know your overall feel, how you were when you saw Suicide Squad when it came out. Did it give you a change of heart rewatching it, or do you just still flat out hate it? Leave them in the comment section. Any and all comments, as long as they're appropriate, are welcomed. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment as much as possible on my video as well as other videos on my channel. Continue to spread the word about Eugene Reviews. I know I've been a little bit off my game lately with life kind of taking place, but I'm really looking forward to the next couple projects I have in line. So be on the lookout for those. Once again, I did say there's a 5 things video for The Suicide Squad, the 2021 version, The Suicide Squad, and it should be on my YouTube page, on Twitter, on Instagram, even on my Facebook right now. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, like, share, subscribe, follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, both at Eugene Reviews. If you want to keep up with all the latest videos on my YouTube channel, hit the bell notification to be informed for any and every single form of content on Eugene Reviews as soon as it drops on YouTube. And yeah, continue to spread the word about this. As I always say, as I conclude my videos, I hope you enjoy watching these as much as I enjoy doing these. I look forward to the future and what lies ahead. This is Eugene signing off for another episode of Eugene Reviews. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys again very soon for another brand new episode. And that, my friends, is a wrap.